So, all right, here we go. Y'all listen closely. Talk about evangelism secret number 1. A Texas minister is contacting all the porn shops in his town. Pastor Jim Norwood of the Oak Crest Family Church says he photographs the cars outside the XXX store in Kennedale. That's the adult X-rated stuff. Then he sends the customers the picture with a note that includes a schedule of the church services and an invitation to attend. The note reads, "Observed you in the neighborhood. Didn't know if you were aware, there's a church in the area. Please stop by the next time and we would love to visit you." I have had to laugh about that. I mean, can you imagine? What an evangelistic technique. Goes by the XXX porn store, takes a picture of their vehicle in front of the store, and then sends them this invitation. I had to laugh about that. There's all kinds of evangelism techniques, so that's the first one. I wonder how successful he is. I have not seen that published anywhere, so I doubt. This was the only time I've ever seen it. I don't think it is the best kept secret. I really don't. There are all types of techniques, and we're going to talk this morning about a few. We will start on page 2 in your notes. I do have an answer key at the back in case I happen to go too fast and you don't, we skip a blank. I hate to skip a blank. Is anybody here with me? How many of you, it just kills me if I can't fill in that blank? Oh, you know, that OCD, I've got to have everything. All right. So honored to have Lacey and Hannah with me. Lacey is our administrator at our church. She is Josh, if you remember Josh Wester, who was with us a few years ago. This is his sister, Lacey, and she is my cousin's daughter. And then Hannah, our associate pastor, is my sister and her husband, Pastor Hines and Sister Hines, and this is their daughter, Hannah. So I am so happy. This is their first international trip, and they're very excited about it. So thankfully, I will get on with business this morning, and hopefully I didn't forget to tell you how excited I am to see every one of you and to be here. Okay, the fishermen. We're going to be talking today about expanding the net, and we're going to be using a lot of fishing analogies, but I am just so excited to share with you what God has given me and believe it's going to be unique and special to this season of your life. In life, there is no greater, no more intimidating mission than the Great Commission. When I look at the world, and he says, go into all the world and reach the gospel, I'm telling you, I know Brother Willoughby must feel this stronger than even me because I'm not a missionary. I did not leave my homeland, but it eats you up. The world is so big. There's so few. It feels like where Jesus said the laborers are few to get it done, yet he told us to do it. Reach the world. There is nothing more intimidating. When I say to you, okay, sir, what is your name, sir? Kirit? It is your responsibility. You are God's advocate for your world. How does that make you feel? It is very scary, and it's like, how am I going to do it? Well, who am I? I mean, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do. Very intimidating. There is nothing greater to be connected to than the God that created the universe, and for him to entrust us with he doesn't have plan B. He died on the cross, left it to us, and said, I trust you to get it done. I'm going to empower you, equip you, and go get it done. That was just it. But let's look at 1 Corinthians 3 and 9, and this is going to be the basis for everything that we talk about today. For we, say that's all of us, are God's fellow workers. You, say that's me, are God's field. Your world is God's field. And he works that field through you. And then it says, and you are God's building. So let's look at A. First blank is, we're all God's team. Say that's us. Okay? My part is, what am I personally responsible for? I'm responsible for my field. So each one of us have the people in our lives, the people that we touch. Jesus can only touch them through people like you and me. He doesn't have a plan B. He's not going to send somebody else somewhere to do it. He's looking, if you have his spirit and his light, you are to be that light and that salt to your world. Okay, we'll talk more about that lately. Okay, now number B, what is our part? What are we as a team responsible for? And that is relational partnerships. The blank is not quite big enough for that, but relational partnerships. It is our responsibility. He said we are fellow workers. You've got your field, I've got my field, and together we complement one another to fulfill God's plan. So we've got Carrot who's looking at his field, but he does not need to feel alone because he can do what he can do, and then I'm going to help him do what God has called him to do in his field. He's going to help me, and together we will get it done. Now, C is God's part. What is God responsible for? And He is responsible for the supernatural. Brother Danny gave me a wonderful story today when he and Sarah came to pick me up about the miracle of his conversion. And when I tell you, I don't know, it's just divine. That, you know what? I can't do that. I can't cause a boat that's splitting, that the water is coming in the boat to not sink. But somehow that boat, because of his father's prayer, got him across the ocean or wherever the water body that it was. And then after the prayer and he got safely to the other side, they were rescued, then the boat sinks. Supernatural. Supernatural. God's got to do that part. And that's where we have to trust that we are a team with God. I can only do what I can do. You're going to help complement what I can't do. And then He's going to do what none of us can do together. And we have to trust that. If you desire to know God's heart, you must become enraptured with God's passion, and you wouldn't be here today if you're not. So we're going to talk about two evangelism options today, and this is really general. I'm sure there are more out there, but in general, there are two ways of bringing people into the church and to fulfill God's commission. I'm going to talk about both of those, and you can just see where you fall into which category, because Bruce Bugbee says two of the most important aspects of your life is to identify the particular person God made you to be, then discover how you can be fruitful and fulfilled in a meaningless place and service. So it is your responsibility to find out which type you are and to plug in and be the best you can be. There is no greater, more rewarding or for life, nothing greater that we could be connected to than the Great Commission. Nothing in this life. The only thing we can do and improve is try to be better at it. It's not like I told Pastor Tim, that's kind of a comforting thought that we're not going to have to worry that he's going to have a new vision next year. Like, 2010, he's going to come out with his whole new vision. No, he's not. It's the same thing that it's been since he died on the cross and left the commission with us. So the only thing we can do is just get more productive, more effective, and be better at that. And that is why we have a school of evangelism. Okay, now choosing between two evangelism options. Option number one is what I would call inside to outside. Option number two is outside to inside. And so what are we talking about? Option number one, inside to outside. This method shifts the full responsibility to the believer. It's like go out and win souls. Go out and win souls. Outside is where the gospel is preached. It's like if I say, Kieran, I want you to go out and I want you to win your world. You're responsible to win your world. And I'm telling him, you need to get you a Bible study and you need to teach them and you need to tell them the apostolic doctrine. And you've got to learn how to pray in the altar better because you need to pray these people through. I mean, God has called you to be responsible for these people. This method shifts the whole responsibility to the believer. And outside is where the gospel is preached. Outside is where the big ask is presented. Outside is where the Bible study persuades them to come to Christ. The type of person who responds well and succeeds at this method possesses the gift of evangelism. And what an awesome thing to behold. They are amazing creatures. Pastor Tim, who would you think, how many of you think you have that gift here?